Do I actually have people watching now? Time to test the sound. I don't really know how ugly that's gonna be. I've actually used this stream magic before, so I know that my microphone's pretty bad in the sense. Let's see. Ah, whatever, I don't care. Anyway, so what I'm doing here is uh, I'm asked to send me this picture about this thing, and joke's on him because what's gonna happen is that we're probably not gonna have one of those. It's like a space drone carrier thing. Apart from this, its job is to actually make those things happen. But I don't actually have the authority to decide if we're gonna add another unit or not. So I'm just gonna make it into a nice thing. What I've done so far is just taken apart what the cabin might look like and made a T2 transport thing out of it. Then I also wanted to work on T1 frigates, and if you look into the model chat, uh, this guy, tag guy, he's made a T3 thing out of the T1 frigate thing I had before. I kind of thought this might be the T1 frigate, but he made a better thing out of it, so I need to make a new one now. So, kind of the idea is to make it really simple, kind of gun on a platform kind of thing, really minimalist, minimum amount of everything, I guess. Just kind of imagining what it might be like. It's probably going to be the cheapest thing ever. Probably something Nomads would do, wouldn't it? There's a gun on the front, kind of thing in the middle, and then I think Apophis ordered a TMD on the back, so it's gonna have something like this, and then everything else is just ship, made out of ship. Gun is gonna be the T1 PD thing, which is sort of rebarreled, whatever. We got gun, um, basically needs to be on the cheapest platform we could think of. So that's what I'm doing now. When I'm drawing, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I kind of just draw shapes and I try to make it into a real 3D thing. Or something that looks plausible anyway. So I kind of know that there's a bridge, tall bit over here. Kind of looks wrong right now. It looks a bit like a normal bridge that you might expect on a ship, but I don't want one of those. I want something that looks weird. Mm, that looks like it's not supposed to have people on it, because it's not supposed to have people on it. Right now it just looks like a regular thing. The gun is sort of in the front there somewhere. Put a square there. Squares make things better, don't they? I don't really know how the back's gonna be, but needs, needs enough space for a back thing. Except this whole thing looks pretty bad. I kind of like how the transport turned out. It's maybe a bit too thin in the middle, but once I've added this sort of thickening layer to it, it turned out alright. This guy's, yeah, not good. I actually start again on him. Sort of zoom out, hide this guy for a bit. Then you start with a big brush. I've got a scribbling layer on there, and then it's just sort of perfect. Turn off that. Just draw on some random shapes. Get that guy out of the way. I don't care about him. That thing can stay. So the point of this is just to get the composition right, so you know like how much should it have at the front, how much should it have at the back, what kind of, is it long, is it fat, kind of thing. And then after that I'll try and make it into something that's actually 3D, or at least plausibly 3D. I kind of want a sticky arty thing like that, but I don't really know how to make it look good because I drew it about 15 times bigger than it should be. Just make the sticky arty thing over here looks a lot better. Kind of better before I even finished drawing it, and then I like these side things, kind of radar nonsenses. Maybe it could have the. I want to put a circular sort of whole viewing thing in the middle. Maybe it could be in the middle. Maybe it could just be that's the whole thing. Maybe that's actually how it is. So I kind of drew it all randomly. It seemed to fit. And then we need to redo the front. So it's a bit less. Maybe it should have like these things on the side. This. And the middle is a bit lower down or something. So that looks a bit like some kind of transport. You know, you want to have dudes over here, and then actually, you know, maybe it's this is kind of interesting. So if you just change the front so it can actually take a gun. squares. Oh, always a good thing. Another issue is that I don't actually know how big this is, and I do know that it has to be to scale. So if the rest of the model sort of becomes bigger, then the gun becomes smaller, and so it would change how it sits in relation to the rest of the thing. Yeah, maybe bending the rails around. Kind of want to do an open front, so it's not like covered up. It's got these things on the side. And then in the middle, kind of more delicate, mushy bit. Yeah, this looks bad. It's yeah, like a face. This looks less, bit better. Just clean up the old stuff under there. Kind of bends inwards. Um, yeah, it could just do that. Could just stop here. I thought, maybe adding a kind of side thing, like a maybe small. No, I think I will add the side thing. It needs something there, otherwise it looks a bit weird. Just the small side thing would do. Like them catamaran, trimaran things. Except not like this. I want to put a glowing thing over here somewhere. Or maybe this could be less integrated and a bit more stuck on, sort of. 'Cause, you know, they don't think about how they did it. I'm thinking about how they did it, but they didn't. They just did the cheapest thing that they could. Back end. TMD, which is this kind of box with an antenna on the other side. And the box basically has these holes in it, and it like vomits stuff out. Still don't know what to do with this. I'll just leave it for later. Now I'll sort of been cleaning it up a bit, just make the lines a bit more precise, because eventually it kind of needs to look like an actual thing, you know, that we built. So, you know, and then you get these issues where none of your lines are actually lining up. You know, there's a huge difference. You have to pick which one you like the best, make it the same, which is a good thing, because then the other half of the model becomes better. So I don't want that line there, because you don't actually need to put lines everywhere to make it look good. You need to put in enough so that your eyeballs don't get confused. And that's when it gets bent. You kind of need to know a bit about 3D to actually make these work. Although I suppose if you can draw, try and put this thing, make it the same symmetrical. But I don't actually know how it's gonna, because it looks really wrong doing it with. Like, I'll just keep it different and then hope no one notices. Part of the way you do things. Just move that guy down a little bit. It's to make it look better on the drawing rather than any design choice. Because when you have a line going in like this, it looks really bad. You can't tell what's going on. So if you just extend it a little bit, so it kind of does the overlapping thing a lot clearer. Just again, we look really bad. I think I will just make it a little bit lower than the other, so the edge has priority. And still have kind of no idea what this is doing. I just sort of drew it on there because I know that there needs to be something there. Otherwise it looks weird. Kind of in terms of composition, you know, you need a shape to go there. Otherwise, your eyes pick up on the part where it's too strange. So the way composition works is essentially you trick people into thinking it looks good by giving them common patterns that they recognize in the environment. So everyone knows what a fork looks like, and if you draw a fork that doesn't have one of those features, it'll look weird, right? So like a fork with 5 prongs will look weird. So the question is how do you generalize that into shapes? Because some shapes we see a lot, and some shapes we don't see a lot. And when you draw one shape that we see a lot, such as a square of boxes, see lots of boxes, they're very familiar to us. So boxes look normal, but if you make a kind of tapered, weird thing, even if it looks like that in real life, let's just assume this is an accurate representation. It looks like a really bad drawing. And that's because the shape is so bizarre that we've never seen it before. We're not used to how it looks. Whereas if you draw something that is mostly a box, but kind of just got a different front on it or something, you can kind of tell what's going on because you sort of see, okay, this is a box and it's got a weird front, so it's a box with a weird front. Whereas the other thing, that was totally didn't look like anything. That's why it looks bad. Because it looks more like the person didn't know what they were doing than the thing itself. I don't really know how to do the back because if you do it like this, it would look really square. Because it is square. Just making it front and see it doesn't actually line up, which is easier to fix by making it a bit thinner, which probably should be okay. Well, it's pretty bad now. Better, but not much better. Then we need to do an antenna thing, and then put the circle in here like this, and then that can be the main thing. Is kind of eyeball, and this is a accident, which is good. I drew it to make the antenna, but actually I'm going to make a new shape out of it because I like how that shape is like colliding into a slanted. Let's just clean up back in too confused to what going on. And we're probably gonna redo all this anyway, so that you don't have these overlapping lines everywhere. Kind of thing like this, and then actually these antenna things come outside of that. instead. Probably be more weird looking, which is a good thing in this case. Let's take a look at some pictures. So I got scenes. Now you can flip around. This is where I look at pictures and stuff. So I kind of started off with the intent of making a spaceship, but things go off the rails, and that's okay. I had collected some pictures of different stuff, sort of help me get in the mood. Look at all these kind of different things that are on there. Kind of drawing is just taking stuff from other people and then mashing it together. Um, I actually had a picture of real boats, not real boats, but more boat things. This one looks really good. You know, if I could do stuff like this, that'd be pretty nice. What I'm looking at is how this bit works, what kind of stuff we've got on here, because that's the bit I'm struggling with right now. The back end doesn't actually look that good. They've used it as some kind of hangar thing for this little helicopter. I don't care about that. No, it looks bad. We're not gonna have that anyway, so that's gonna be better. And they've got some other stuff. This is all from some kind of game. I don't know what the game is about, but its models are really nice. Even though they did the absolute crime of putting the turret on a tilted surface. But other than that, it's fine. You know, and they've got this interesting radar thing. When I make a bigger ship, I might actually do this if I remember to put something on. I kind of like the idea of a standalone radar, that it's actually like some kind of important things, because normally what happens is they just stick these things on the ship, then that's job done. But I like this, that it's a big feature on it. Maybe it should just, because what this one does is it has this overhang at the back, and then that just gives a nicer cut off to the back than just a flat thing. See, they've got these things that stick out, and then it's actually tilted forward. So if we swap back, we might do something like that. Let's just position the camera for the precedent things. Oh, someone's actually watching the stream. No, this isn't going to be a carrier. This is going to be a small boat. So, no, no hangers. What I'm doing is I've got a kind of not super hard eraser on the erasing thing, so I can see what I've had before when I draw it over it again, and that sort of lets me fix stuff without actually needing to redo it. And so what they've done is they've had this kind of trick where they just make a big sticky outy thing like this and then just leave it. So then you know you could then put another box over here like this, and this already looks better. You know, if we have the sticky outy things over here, and then it'll look kind of like this. So, a bit less overhang on that. A bit like this. And that's the rest of it, which is nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to key layer, put this just a bit down, and then I'm going to draw it again. This just lets me work out what's going on better. So I don't want this corner to, I want to put this box behind it. So I'm going to tilt it backwards. And this is just some kind of generic box for now. I'm mostly working in shapes. Just really make it look good. And the thing is, you can dress it up. You can invent functionality for these boxes later, which will then change the shape a little bit. So, you know, if this is like a cabin thing, you can make that. You should have some kind of thing in mind when you actually do this. It's not sort of the most important thing right now. The most important thing is just to make a good set of shapes. Because that's what people see. They think they see stuff. You know, they think they see, oh, this is a rudder or whatever, or a sail or a bridge. Actually, it's just shapes. And then those shapes look like stuff. Yeah, I'm just going to extend this guy back. It's a bit lower. And a bit smaller as well, actually. It's going to be some kind of separation thing, and then that guy needs to be lower as well. So I'm going to put a bigger box over here. And finally, the antenna things get to go like this. You notice that like what I've drawn under is not in the same place. That's fine. It's kind of, that's the point of doing it. Because if you're going to draw it in the same place, might as well draw it. You can put some antenna there, and then maybe that's the person bridge. I don't like the shape of this one actually. It's wonky. Doesn't look. Maybe a little longer. Yeah, slightly better, whatever. I'll do. Then the back needs to go further back actually, because this is, I suppose endless issue of my drawing, whereas I don't really know what I'm doing. With the rest of the thing, I kind of work on it a little part at a time, because the issue is that this thing is too. Actually, it could just be over here like this. No, I kind of want it. I don't know if I want it to overlap. That this is the kind of decisions you make. Well, what you don't want to do is, because I'm planning on merging this layer down, I don't want to. Also, what's this supported talk in my chat? Like, what are you supporting? We're making a small boat. You know, none of that nonsense regarding big guns. It's gonna have two guns on it. Okay, it's gonna have the PD thing, and it's gonna have a TMD. That's it. You know, we're working to a brief. Can't just stick anything you want on there. Guns on the side, whatever. More guns isn't better, you know. Makes it more messy. Need space for those guns. Can't just put them wherever you want. This is way too high up. I don't know how it ended up there, but we can just put it down. Magic Photoshop. Actually, no, it just looks completely wrong. I don't even know. Just do it all over again. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this guy so that we can move him independently of the stuff in the back. Then you set to colors. Colors great, you know. Let you arrange your stuff. Because you know, for when you have layers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it gets a bit difficult to keep track of what's where. Oh, maybe that was what's wrong with this antenna. It's got a incorrect tilt. That probably looks a bit better. There we go. And this thing goes all the way back here. The inside, and what we want to do is we want to make it wider. So we want to extend this line and then that. And I don't actually like what's going on here. The issue here is that we've got this box, and then this thing is wrapping around this. And then kind of gonna make the back, but I don't like that this back end and the box are on the same plane, you want to either put back end here, here, and don't want to put it here. So you kind of have to start making this layered sandwich. Put a box, and this thing wraps around, and it just kind of starts becoming a mess, doesn't it? I think I might have to deal with it, make it flat, yeah, like this, and then just put an indicative line. Get a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and on the other side, kind of have the same going on that, but the issue is that you don't actually get much width out of here. Very thin thing, and I want it to be fatter. So actually, gonna have a sneaky plan. Like I'm gonna do something like this. That's my idea. I'm gonna have a break in here, so it's kind of this weird gap, and you can have some glowing lights in here, and then that gives me extra width that I can use. Just clean it up a little bit. The extra width that I can use. I don't know. I think it should be vertically finished. And if we extend it here, that already looks better. Just need to. Still not that good though. And that sort of thing wraps around like so, and then we can break it up and then like a kind of symmetrical thing to what's going on here. So you sort of have a thing in the middle, like a sandwich. Nomad units are basically sandwiches, you know, kind of sandwiches on their side. That's what we're making. Then I want to have a raised platform here for the TMD to go on. And another thing that's interesting is you won't actually see much of the TMD. It's going to be covered behind. And make a new layer, put the TMD in there, because it's a separate thing. So if I want to move it around, you know, kind of. I don't actually know what the TMD looks like yet. That's a kind of problem. I know it's made out of 3 bits. Right, it's got a turret thing in the middle, got a TMD thing, and it's got a radar thing on the other side. And it's, you know, it's kind of a bit like PD. You know, they've got a theme going on there. I don't really know. But yeah, maybe what I should do on my streams is get into the voice chat thing. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. You know, let's see. I'm now in the model cave in Discord, so all you kids can join in. I'm gonna get myself some water. That would be correct. Actually, have my system sounds muted, so nobody can hear stream. So I'm back at drawing for a bit. Let's see. I want to mirror image, because what mirroring does actually is it confuses your eyes, and that's the good thing. Because what happens is as you're drawing it, you kind of get used to what it looks like, and when you flip it, your eyes are really confused. They don't know what they're looking at anymore. So it lets you see it from a new perspective for free, essentially.
That's cool.
Um, then I can just do that. It's like you can't really do that on paper, you know, because you can't just turn over a piece of paper. But you can do it in
Yeah.
Photoshop. It's magic like that. Now, at some point, I'll actually need to work out what the TMD is supposed to look like. I've got a sketch of it somewhere. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's something like this in the little screen over there. But the thing is I'm not happy with how that one looks like. It's like it's got the right idea, but it's not really there. You know, if someone wants to fix it, you should. So fix it. I don't. I'm not gonna do all the work myself. It's way too much. I'll probably just leave it as a scribble in the frigate. You know, just sort of some kind of notional.
Well, if you want, I can look if I can learn some of the drawing things and then make concept art for it.
Yeah, I mean, thing is about learning is you just have to do it, right? So if you wanna, you
Yeah,
can. Just
yeah.
6 months
I
of drawing every day, and then you'll get better. It's kind of how I did it, except for me it was a year and a half, something like that.
Well, I draw a lot in school when I'm bored, so I guess I already have that kind of experience.
Just drawing random lines right now, thinking, maybe if it's got some kind of thing. I'm sure I must have figured it out. Maybe it should just be the same cabin as the PD and stuff, just to keep it same. I kind of like the idea of modular design that everyone does, but I think it might look wrong for the TMD, so probably not. Just let's just keep up. and then draw some notional thing there that no one's ever going to notice because it's kind of behind the antenna anyway. It's not really in there. You're only going to notice if I tell you about it, and there's 4 people watching the stream, so no one's going to know about it. And I kind of think I had enough for now. Let's clean up the layers and just put it all back together again. Let's see. There we go. And if we flip back to its original, and merge that down. That's my turrets, and then let's just tile curves. Yeah, it's easy peasy, right? Didn't take that long at all. This is exactly what I need. You know, I need minions to make models for me. It just needs to look better, you know.
Sorry if I'm not talking that much. I'm at the moment playing a game of Heroes of the Storm while talking. So yeah, sometimes you gotta concentrate on it.
This is top secret stuff. Let's see. What do I want? I want to find the turret. Look at this guy. Beautiful. Look at this guy. Anyway, kind of need to draw that. It's just kind of a circle shape with triangles at the end of it, you know. Not working well. Okay. Let's see. What you can do is you can actually just fudge it. You just put like straight looking lines everywhere, and then everyone gets confused, can't tell what's going on. But it looks okay because you don't actually know what's going on. Can't tell that it's bad. That's the trick, you know. You can't do this with models either. It has to be drawing, because with drawing you could just do like, you know, a thing and then kind of thing like that. It's basically how all my drawings work, right? As long as the line looks good and not like this, we're probably gonna get away with it. And oh yeah, the other side is like this kind of box. Interestingly, this PD is mirrored, so the gun should be on the other side. I don't care. I'm putting the gun further away from the camera so it covers up less other stuff. Um, I actually don't know what's going on under the turret at all. Like, I still really need to work out design turret thing, but what I've done before is I've kind of cheated and just put a circle, and then everyone else forgets about it. this TND, I mean PD, whatever. Speed bit, down. Now whatever, that'll do. Kind of. This is supposed to be a quick sketch anyway, so kind of don't want to spend too much time on it. The main point of these is just to make sure and get the right kind of relationships with the shapes, get the right, like you want a thing like this at the front, you want a sandwich thing like this, and you want the kind of eyeball thing, and some antennas like that in the middle, and then you want a thing like that at the back. That's the whole unit. That's it. Job done. I shouldn't have even drawn that. It should have been that. Now for the favourite part, which is just colouring in. I don't bother with anything special. I just use the same brush, but because I've got some opacity
Well, the model looks really good.
magic, you can just colour in using the
Oh,
same
I'm gonna go
brush.
for a bit because now a friend of mine wants to play a bit with me, so I guess I'll back in about a minute, hour or so. But I let the stream on so I can see and watch and learn.
Okay, that guy's gone. Bye. Anyway, you can just do this. See, job done. I don't know. Then what you do is you put the opacity down a little bit more, and then you just go for round two to put on some shadows on it. Yes. And this is the time to hide this layer so you can actually see what you're doing, and it actually makes it look worse. And the reason why is because the previous layer makes it all very confusing looking, and so you think that it's some kind of texture, some kind of thing, whereas actually it's just incompetence. But you can't tell. That's the secret to making sketches. Just make them look vague. It's also the secret to winning arguments. You just use vague statements and then people can't actually tell that you're wrong. Retard life advice there. By the way, don't do that, because clever people can tell that you're wrong. And then you just can only argue against idiots. Just putting in some here. You see how you don't need that line there? It's kind of nice. I like it when that happens. Just make these up. These are actually supposed to be a lighter material, kind of like a lighter grey, so just gonna colour them in. We've got these kind of divisions because sort of radar squares, I guess. I don't like when this one is can't just uh, there we go. Oh yeah, I messed up. Whatever, that'll do. And I've had this orange on my background color since the start of the drawing because I knew that I'd need it eventually. Just oh yeah, I wanted to put a thing here. It's actually the wrong shade of orange, I think. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't care. You know, I don't know if this should be orange or not. This little TMD thing. I'll probably have black. Anyway, it's time to make this thing just a little bit darker. Just that's probably actually let's go for it. I think it's probably too dark, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna color it in, see what happens, and then I'm probably gonna be too lazy to fix it, and then I'll justify it as yeah, this is what I had in mind at the start. Because the Nomads, they're kind of they're like onions. They have layers. Yeah, I think the background needs to be darker in order to pull this off better, but it's okay. Kind of the armor panels. This is where the hard bit comes in because this is kind of want this to be armored as well, so darker. But you don't. I'm probably gonna color in this bit. Is that better? So my brush strokes actually have a little bit of texture to them. You kind of need to follow the material when you do them rather than just doing whatever. Well, again, and then that thing can be. And then I'm just gonna maybe do this trim. Looks a little bit crap, but who cares? And that guy can be darkened down as well. Oh yeah, and the PD. That's gone. It's too. Slightly this one up a bit so you can get a bit more of that reflection. It's not really necessary, but I wanted it. No, because I can. That's the key. Gotta have fun. Now whatever I'll do. Making this guy a bit darker, so we know which direction it's facing. It's actually a vertical face. Cleaning up around the edges a little bit. Now this kind of stuff, like you could actually leave it scruffy, but it's the kind of stuff where you don't notice. So, but it makes a difference. Most of what we see, we don't actually notice, but we still see it. Oh yeah, and I wanna make this thing not see-through. So, which one? How does that happen? Now, there we go. Just try and clean up the lines on this guy so it's not so ugly looking. And then because that was the coloring. These lines aren't actually that color; they're black, but they've just got a bit of transparency to them, so you can kind of see stuff through them. Just I don't know if I wanna add a little bit more transparency to these lines, so they kind of take up a little bit less. But I think in this case it's fine because I made them pretty thick. And the thing is when you make your lines thick, what you do afterwards is you don't color them in properly. So if you take out the lines, you can see there's a complete mess underneath. The lines just hide all of it. So you kind of have to plan in advance and make your lines thin. But thinner lines require more work. It's harder to draw. So you kind of can't go back after that. You have to draw over it and then clean it up and all that stuff. I don't really care about that. So let's just add a layer in the background. Make it a little bit darker. And then we run into the problem why Retard's quick sketching is bad. And that's because the colors I use aren't perfectly transparent, or rather, not perfectly opaque. So some of them become darker and some of them don't. So we're just gonna abandon that idea. Let's see, don't need that anymore. Color that in orange. Orange is a Nomads color, so that's okay. Put on the squares. Actually, I don't really care about fitting it to a square. When I started this, so that was what, like an hour ago, I thought, I have these six squares, and I make thumbnails, and then I pick the better one out of them, and I make that one bigger. But since I ran into difficulties with this one, I started drawing it bigger, so it's kind of already big. So there's not really much point in shrinking it down. Just gonna add a folder for this guy, and a folder for the T1, TV, T2 transport. So now I kind of have both of them. I like how this guy turned out actually, and it took about 15 times less time. It took about 2 minutes to make him before the start of the stream. But it turned out pretty well. This is what, yeah. And then I just scribbled random other shapes around it just to see what happened. But yeah, something like that anyway. Let's just move this guy over to the middle. Or maybe not the middle, maybe you want to put it like this. Print screen. I got a print screen program which makes me able to do this, and then I can now dump it into the arts channel. These pieces. Now let's save it as something. I've got a special arts folder, but Nomads stuff. kind of don't want to forget about this guy. I do might do him later, you know, bigger, kind of like that stuff. He's got like these kind of interesting little side things, cabin like that. Then there's a kind of engine, whatever. What I do want to do is the frigate actually looks pretty bad without background, so I'm gonna try and do background for it. This is where we do this trick. So what you can do is you can just merge the layer, and then you get the opacity mask for it. Right? And then take this color and just fill it in loads. Kind of get a mask, and then it's not that. And you can get rid of this layer because I like to keep my layers, but you get an outline of what it was, right? And then what you do is you put it on here. Now you could mess with the background, so let's put it, give it a better background. It's a bit crap though, because we kind of want to clean up the edges a bit. This is poor decision making, resulting in me losing time. Happens a lot. Just erase the edges. And now I've just got them. Something like that, I guess. Now, color that, like a big brush, and then just make the whole thing dark. You can see that what this does is it actually makes the oranges really show up a bit better. And then you can add some tone variation to it, just to sort of put it in, and then maybe make this bit darker. It's kind of like a shadow. Yeah. Use a slightly smaller brush for a crisper kind of thing, because in the large ones it gets a bit blurred. Just focus and kind of, then it's going fast, right? Because it's gonna go fast. So it's kind of like one here. Or maybe it's a bit. Let's just go like this, and then maybe it's wavy. It kind of looks bad. It's a bit messy.
Haha.
Hello.
Hello. What are you doing? Why are you in this channel? I'm bored. Help me.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm streaming.
Stream what?
There's a link in the somewhere.
Amazing. Why don't you link your YouTube or your Twitch or whatever?
I did. I linked it in the model chat somewhere.
No, to your profile.
I haven't done that yet. No good reason. How about that?
Hmm. Haha, I can hear my voice on the stream.
Hmm. I'll probably have some more water, and then I'll figure out how to color in this background. But, so
That
anyway,
is an that is an interesting looking frigate there.
presumably so. So what I'm doing now is just grabbing a color brush. If I was good, I would have colored it in right from the beginning, but I had the black color selected, and I thought it'd just be easier to do that. Now I can regret my decision, but it's okay, because you can kind of actually color it in pretty well, and this isn't that detailed, so you don't actually need to get the colors exactly right.
What
But
is
one,
that big orange thing in the middle?
that's the eyeball, or like the thing, the camera port for the Nomads.
Ah,
Anyway, now that I've added the color back in, I'm just going to switch back to normal mode. And just smooth it out a little bit. Maybe I'm just going to grab my kind of brush. Because this one I've basically been doing it all with the same brush so far. Just because it's got like a textured square, and squares are nice because you can do both flat sides and corners with the same brush, whereas circle ones are pretty bad with corners. Kind of see them from a mile away. Um, so kind of for the lazy people among us, you can just use the same brush for absolutely everything, and that's fantastic. Now, here I'm just cleaning it a little bit up. Probably cleaned it a little bit too much. Let's keep the shadow. this.
Why are you putting so much work into the water? This is concept art, right?
Yeah, I know. But the point is, I do this for fun, right? So
Oh, okay.
here's my special fuzzy square brush. That's there. It makes a huge difference, and it's the same thing. Like the only difference is the shape, but it makes it look like I put 100 times more effort into it than I have. And that's the key. See?
Well, I'm off. But going now. So yeah, have fun with this stream.
I will. I shall. It's nearly finished anyway. I'm probably gonna close it after I'm done with this one, because I need to write what's new posts and stuff and all that, because no one else on class does them. That kind of stuff. Just sort of doing the water. I kind of like water. I don't actually draw it that much though. No. Just get this blue line is pretty nice. Half of it, half of all this stuff is just to get the right shapes going. Then do a little bit of blending, so it's a bit more. Because like, what's the worst thing is when you have sort of stuff like this, and then you have stuff like that, and you can see that it's crossing over, and that's what ruins everything. Because it looks fake. It looks like someone done it in Photoshop, which is an accurate description of the process. But when you blend it, kind of eyes get tricked. So that's why a little bit of the smooth brush is important. And then you can just go back in and add the details afterwards. What's this? Yeah, there we go. And then the frigate's a little bit too light compared to the water now, so just do a quick. You're not actually supposed to use it like I do, or rather you could, I guess, but like what you're supposed to do is do it non-destructively, but I'm too lazy. So you can go back and change it later. Because if you don't, you can only do it once, and then every subsequent turn it kind of starts losing quality. So if you say you do it like this, all that data behind the grey arrow is now gone. Actually, bad thing. Something like this, and then we can add a color dog layer. Let's call it. Whoops. Take some orange. You need to grab select brush, make it really soft. That's how we get the glowing stuff. Really easy peasy, you know. Actually, there's two kinds of orange because you need like a more red one, like this, for the because otherwise it yellows out a bit too much. But you can have the reflections on the ship. You need to do that in like the darker orange one because that actually looks orange on black or grey or whatever. And then for the actual glow of the lights, you need the more yellow one. That's, tricks of the trade. Because if you use the yellow one, it just looks, yellow. A little bit of it. Over here that doesn't look bad. Whatever. That's more than enough. Oh no, I forgot the most important part. Just go back in and fix that. Square brush in there. Draw that in there. That's my glowing thing. And you always need to zoom out to check your work, because what it looks like when you're up close is really not what it looks like when you're far away. It's because the pixels they start confusing you. When you're at 100%, you see the shape, you see a line, but when you zoom in, you see the pixels, and what you're actually seeing is a jagged line. And the jagged line, obviously, looks completely different to a straight line. And that's why you can't make sense of it until you zoom out. When you're organized, what you should do is you should name all your layers so you don't actually forget what they are. Or rather, you don't need to remember. But I didn't do that. So I'm doing it now. I've got a template that I use to start off with this stuff, and all the stuff is very neatly laid out and all named. But I don't actually use the layers half the time, so I've got a sketch colors layers, which is for the purpose of sketching the colors, and I didn't use it. So there we go. Though I did use the sketch lines layer this time, which is usually good, because I usually start with the top layer by accident and then it just goes off around. So anyway, now we've got that, what I want to do is I want to color that in. Just turn off the dove layer. Grab this. You want to be careful here because this is actually behind this other thing. This armor plate, sandwich panel, whatever you call it. I'm just gonna take this time to also just clean this one up a bit, you know. It looks a little bit better. Not like that. There you go. Yeah. Less messy. Although, arguably it's not much better than before. Some of the mess made it look good. Should just clean up the edges. Then you turn this guy back on. I'm just going to set it back to normal. Grab the colours off it. And then back to thing. Now we can paint. I need to set up a better brush because like the one I currently have, it's not really good because it's not soft or and doesn't have the opacity control. So every time I switch to it, I need to set it up, and it's only 2 clicks, but it happens every time. There's no reason for it to be otherwise. There you go. Anyway, that's done. And really, what you want to do is you want to have something in the top left corner as well, like a small boat. But I don't really care. And the reason you want to have something in the top left corner is because there's something in the bottom left corner. So you want to have a small element over here, like a wave. You could do a wave. Then I must be busy modeling this guy while we're at it. The issue with his thing though is that the panels are way too thick. You know, it's kind of that's why it looks wrong. Because this thing it looks like a panel, right? But because it's so thick, it makes the rest of the unit appear very small. So if you make them thinner, that makes the rest of the unit big. And making units look big is actually part of what Subcom's all about, you know, because they are big. So they should look the part. And it's kind of a challenge because you wanna keep them pretty simple. Although that said, my sketch doesn't do a very good job of making them look big. You can, cause it doesn't have any of the details. The only thing that's actually small on it is this thing, or maybe those things. But like, the key to making it look big is you have some big elements, and then you have some really small elements, and those small elements should be more recognizable than the big ones. And then the small things are like a window or a door or something that you can relate to scale, right? When you see it, then that makes everything else appear huge. And if those things are missing, it just looks like whatever size you imagine it to be at, because you don't have any scale to reference it with. So if you put a man, if you put like people on it, let's just grab, and you just put some people on it like that, right? And then it starts to look big or spotty, either one. Well, but if you don't, you could put a man. It's just there, there. Could put him on here, and then it's a tiny bird. Yeah, our masters, as always, the king of all models. You should make the thing. You should make it a bit thinner. I know it doesn't look thin, but yeah, it should be a little bit thinner. And the another thing is actually this bit. Let me just this bit. So you can see that I took the time to sort of draw it. In fact, I'm gonna take even more time to draw it like this. So the point is that it overhangs a little bit, and this kind of stuff it makes it seem like it's not important, but actually this is what it's all about. It's what goes over what's flush with what overhangs what, and this kind of stuff. That's what really makes a kind of bad model into a really good one. If you just take the same two things and then you just make everything sit on the same level, it's going to be really bad. But if you really know how to control what's higher, what's a little bit lower, what should be at the same level, that's what makes it really good. Because then you have this sense of depth. And in this case, the thing should be just slightly in front of the bottom part of the bridge. And the reason why is because this thing is more important than the bridge. It's like the focal point of the unit. It's the one which is dark. It's kind of got the eyeball thing in it. It's kind of a feature. And that's why it should be more prominent. And little tricks like this. So you put more important things overhanging the less important things. It's just general rule thumb. Don't have to follow it all the time, but following it some of the time is what makes it good. Uh, Anyway, I think I'm done. Maybe I will draw the wave in after all, you know? Bit of wave. It's just some kind of, just a little bit of a thing. This is my favorite brush, because you can actually make these like really thin lines with it without actually make any effort at all. It's just the lazy man brush. It's great. And you can make it look like you put in some work without actually doing anything. Although that said, I have put in a fair amount of time into it. That's okay. It's all fun. And now it looks a little bit better. I might have overdone the wave actually. Let's just make it a little bit darker. That'll do. If I was clever, I've done it on a separate layer. And then I could have just reduced the opacity, but I wasn't. So I did it on the same layer. I'm just gonna update this thing, and then looks better. And then this is gonna go into the next what's new post, which is due today. I've kind of partway through writing it before I started this. Let's just save that. Oh yeah, here's my top secret material regarding the turrets. This is for the T1 tank. I kind of had some designs going on. I've done this one, put it into the model, and then this is what it might look like on the T2 tank. Just kind of box. I wanted to, boxes are the easiest shape to do, right? That's why I wanted it to be a box, because unlike me, the Nomads never really thought about how to do this. They just did it the easiest way possible, which is why I want it to be a box, because that's the kind of thing you'd come up with when you spend no time on it. But I kind of looked at other shapes, maybe you want to have like the middle turret in the middle, something, because it needs to be a three barrel tank. And the question is, how do you arrange those three barrels? You could have them one on top of each other. That's way too tall. It's for small barrels. So you kind of have to. You can have like two on one side, one on the other side. It's pretty crazy. You can have one in the middle, and two on the sides. It's like a. But the issue with that is that looks like it's been designed, because they clearly put the middle barrel in front of the two other barrels. Whereas if you just stick them together, it's like the laziest way, and I think that's kind of what the Nomads would do. Anyway, that's that. That's that. And I think probably gonna stop the stream for now, because I need to do more work, and I'm tired of talking.